All right, so they're really trying to mess with this process here, but it's all good. Anyway, like I was saying, so those were just a few of the things that had led up to my bag being stolen, and it happened like 2 days after all of those things that went on, and I had pushback with the sane nurses, and I had evidence of that. That I'm gonna upload pretty soon here, as well. Just my interaction with them, the same nurses, which was insane how they were trying to infringe on my rights, and they just kept on insisting. So I'd gone and I'd acquired a mobile advocate, the day of me going to have the assault kit. Now, prior to me requiring that advocate, I'd called and I'd, tried to set up an appointment for me to have the same exam. And had it worked out, had it all set up, had the appointment ready to go. And I was supposed to call and speak with the nurse who was going to be doing it. Her name was Michelle. And when I called, instead of her answering this, I think her name was Samantha, supposedly the head nurse of the SANES program, answered the phone and proceeded to tell me that Michelle was no longer available to do my exam, and in fact, she won't be available. Period. I'm gonna have to go through her. She's gonna do the exam, and that's gonna be the way it's done. You don't make appointments for the exam, and that's not how it works. And you should have called me and went through me. And first of all, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the SANE exam, but you don't call and you don't go through anybody. You simply just, you call the police, you make the report, and then they escort you. Once you've made the decision on having the exam, they escort you to a facility so that can be done. You're not calling anyone as the victim and trying to see if it's okay, running it by somebody. But this is what she was trying to get me to do. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's just not going to happen. I don't know, what kind of drugs you're smoking, but that's not going to happen. Because she was like, well, if you're not going to do that, then, you do have the option of not having it. So I said, okay. So I hung up with her and then ended up calling a mobile advocate and told them that what I needed. And so she showed up. So I told her what was going on and what was happening or whatever. And so we ended up getting on the phone and calling her back. And so she was like, introduced herself and was like, hey, we're trying to get something set up for today for a kid. What's the holdup? What's the problem? So she was like, oh, well, I mean, it's not really a problem. We just don't have anybody available today. Like, total change of tone, story, the whole thing, just switched it all the way up. So she kept on insisting she wanted to talk to me, and she just kept trying to have this encounter. And the whole thing was so, like I said, it was so against protocol. I kept telling her that, and they just insisted on, infringing upon my rights and trying to prohibit me from being able to make the decision on who was to do my exam. And kept wanting it to be her, and she kept wanting to choose who it was going to be because, see, that's how they work. They have certain nurses and doctors and police officers who have been handpicked for this crime that's being committed against me. And so they want to keep everyone in the same network that's going to be dealing with me so that I'm handled as opposed to being helped. So when it came down to me wanting to get like fresh nurses who were not involved with this, with the evidence that had matriculated, they didn't want it, they weren't having it. So she had already refused me one exam. She had already refused and had prevented from me being able to have the first exam. So now she's trying to prevent me from having the second one because she knew that I had different evidence, and she knew that I had evidence that was going to be pretty damning. So they were trying hard to prevent me from getting this exam done. So I had that stuff recorded. I just had a lot of really potent evidence. And that's why my bag ended up being stolen. They were just desperate, and they were just like, we can't let this get out. We can't let this, we just can't let that happen. So, steal the bag. And it was, like I said, it was other people that I know were involved with that, knew that that was going to be something that would possibly help them and try to even out the playing field at this point. And so they ripped my bag off. Haven't found it yet. I'm not going to find it. And so I've noticed that since that's happened, a lot of people have been just kind of interacting with me in a way that, I don't know, it just seems a bit weird. Like, more so like they have information that they have obtained in a more personal way. Um, So once they stole the bag, I was informed that they opened up a cash app in my name, in my full name. They got into one of my phones and started calling some of the numbers in the phone, impersonating me for nefarious reasons, and which I thought was really, really like interesting that um, they would be so bold to do something like that. But it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. These police officers are trying to make it look like this was some random crackhead theft who was just looking for, money or whatever. And it just wasn't. This was orchestrated by the police and the very same criminals that have been involved with this crime since day one. So they did that. And then um, what else has gone on? A lot of stuff has happened. A lot. Uh, I know here recently they sent this guy to me trying to befriend me and trying to um, encourage some kind of consensual sexual interaction, which they do. They do that when they get desperate as well. And they don't do it as often because they already know they're going to fail at it. But I think this time around they felt like um, they knew me well enough to, send someone over that would be able to try to penetrate, and make me feel comfortable with them enough to open up. Not gonna happen. So, you know what? I usually like. It depends. Like I'll entertain it sometimes, and then sometimes I won't. It just really depends. So I entertained it for a couple of days, and then I just, I was like, this guy's, full of crap. Um, the conversation that we had, was really bizarre and very telling of who he was as a person and what the game was and how they were trying to play me. Um, had a couple of those incidents actually. The most recent one was about a week ago, and then I had one a few months ago during the winter. Black guy, and that was, and I laugh because I'm always more disappointed when they get these black people to participate in this crime against another black person. Um, the kind of seedious things you're doing, um, setting someone up to be violated sexually, which is just a low life, low grade type of move on anyone's part. And you're doing that to your black sister, and so it always makes me like more disgusted when that's the reality. But hey, at the end of the day, not all skin folks are kinfolk. And that's just something that you have to be real with yourself about.